Hello.
She is. Yay. Let me
Oh,
get her
hear you. What did I
spotlighted.
do?
Oh
Oh,
no.
there we go. Okay.
Advocate. Woohoo. Okay. So, welcome, Kayla. Sorry about the tech issue. Listen, everybody, before we jump in, happy Monday. And as you know, we are shifting everything under our patient advocate CEO brand. And this week, we've officially moved our email system from Nicole at Tennessee Health Advocates to support at Patient Advocate CEO. So
Woohoo.
last week you may have got, I know I'm super excited, but last week you may have gotten like two sets of emails from us reminding you about the same thing. And you were like, why did I get
Yes.
two? Yeah, so it was because last week we were testing the new system, but we didn't want to let go of the old system. So you got two. This week you'll just get the one, but I want to make sure everybody knows because it is a different email address and it may drop it to your spam. So this morning,
Mm,
if for some reason you didn't get it and now you're watching the video going, I'm so upset I didn't get my email, I want you to do a search in your email for support at Patient Advocate CEO. It should pull it up. Then you can mark it as safe so that you can get the future. So just know, and if you ever have any questions, just email me directly at my address that you have. And I can get it switched over and help you work through that. So just know we're trying to make that transition as easy as possible. But so goes it, right?
so,
I love it.
a fun fact, we're going to get slightly tactical for 2 minutes here. I've actually been dealing with email deliverability issues too. And Kayla hired an operator. It's very exciting. And anyways, he consulted with this like big IT guy. And one of the things that he found in his research and consulting is that if an email is coming from like support at or admin at something other than a person's name, it almost
Name.
always will go there. So if you can change that to like
Oh,
Nicole or just
Nicole.
Sarah, I don't just make up a name that can
Right.
just be for the admin person, that will probably
Yeah.
fix a lot of your deliverability. Fun
That's
fact for
great
anybody who does
because
email marketing.
yeah, absolutely. That's fantastic because the other email is from me. The one at Health Advocates is Nicole. So that's good to know. Maybe we'll just go in and change that.
I would
That would be
recommend that
great.
because I,
Yeah,
I don't know about you, but for me, I was like relying on people to like flag it and add it. And I'm like, that you're just asking
that's
for
not
drop
gonna
off.
work.
Yeah.
Right.
I've met people,
For
I'm one
sure.
of them. If I have to do something to get an email, I'm just not getting it.
I Me too. Me too. I don't have time for that. I do not have time for that. So I love it. But anyway, yay. So thank you so much because that is an important thing. So we'll go in and work on that. Um, in the meantime, just know the old system is still working too. So you might be getting emails from both of them sometimes. I don't know.
What's
We'll
funny
see.
is
Like I
I
said,
actually apparently the link is the same. So that's useful
yes,
because
it
this is from
is.
last week's email. I dug through my deleted.
Yes, yes, it is. It is the same. We don't change the Zoom link on the Mindset Mondays. So for that very reason, I'm all about easy. Easy peasy. Let's not make it hard, right? I love it. Fantastic. Well, I'm super excited. The other piece of that, I don't think there is another piece. Tech issues, Monday. I'm in a new place. I'm up at my sister's this week.
Oh, okay.
Actually, yeah, I'm about to leave. I'm leaving after this. To head back to Indianapolis and be with my son. It was her birthday, so I got to hang out with her. I surprised her on Friday. It was great. There was an Amazon. Oh, this is fun. You know when you get somebody really good, right? So I got here and I came to the front door. She didn't know that I was coming, and there was an Amazon package on her doorstep. I know, worked out great. So I just lifted the package and looked down, right? So that as she came to the door, she couldn't see who it was. And she's so sweet. She opened the door to the Amazon delivery person and she's like, "Oh my gosh, how are you today? Happy Friday." Looked me in the eye and I said, "Happy birthday." And she was like, "Why what?" It
See,
was
now next
beautiful.
year
It
you're gonna
was,
have to be in the Amazon package.
I know, right? It was great. Anyway, it was fun. It was
Oh,
fun. It was
that's
fun. It was fun.
awesome.
Yeah. So let's talk about what are we talking about? I know last week the mindset shift that we talked about last week, because this month is all about pricing and the mindset shift behind pricing, right? And it lasts anyway. Great stuff. And so one of the things that we talked about during the call last week that I kind of wanted to bring to you, Kayla, and get some feedback and talk about the mindset shift on it is this idea of I have to be flexible and accessible all the time in order to meet my clients' needs. And that's not exactly what I have found to be true. And so I wanted to talk about that. What are you thinking?
Yeah. I laughed when you said flexible because I have something else that I want to share related to the topic. But
Oh, good.
yeah, it's interesting. And I wonder if you're thinking about the same thing. But I saw
Probably.
I saw something on social media the other day about there was somebody has a client with an ever-growing list of demands and trying to figure out how to meet them.
Yeah.
And I don't know where this concept came from that we're supposed to be somebody's everything, but that is, I think, kind of only applicable in motherhood. And even then, there needs to be boundaries. But also, like, me, I always flip things around to like the client consumer perspective. Um, and if we flip that around for a minute, as a consumer, as a potential client of services out in the world, if I call somebody and I ask them what they can help me with, and they can't answer that question, or
Right.
they tell me it's up to me, what that signals to me is, do you even know what you're doing?
That's right.
Because
Yes.
nobody is
Yes.
good
Yes.
at
Yes.
everything.
That's right. That's
And
exactly right.
I would never imagine going to, like, if we stop and think about some other more well established service
Mhm.
industries, like I wouldn't go to an accountant and expect them to do everything under the sun that has to do with money. I would expect some boundaries and direction for the other requirements. If I went to my lawyer, I wouldn't expect them to do everything that I had on my list that has anything to do with, aging estate planning. I would expect them to have a clear scope and referrals for the rest. So the idea that it should be any different with us is very, very disserving and honestly removes
Yes.
us from professional advocacy role pushed back down into lumping into general caregiving. And if that's something that somebody here wants to do, that's fine, but we can't pretend that it is professional
Professional.
independent patient advocacy. They're
Right.
two different lanes. You got to pick one. Blurring them together is confusing for everybody, and a large part of the reason why this industry is still unknown to everybody, because for
We
far too
can't talk
long
about it.
too many people have been trying to fix every single problem that comes across their plate, because we all come with a service heart
That's
and
right.
boundaries are
Because we
hard.
just right. Because again, we go back to this bucket of I just want to help. I just
Right.
want to help, right? And that is great. It is a great starting point, but it is not what builds sustainable practices and moves advocacy into professionalism. It is structure, it is boundaries, it is all of the things that are super uncomfortable for us that actually move us from hobby helper into structured professional.
Right.
And it changes, it's I hear this all the time with advocates who I don't know why I'm not closing clients. I help, I do all of the things. I had one advocate say to me when I ask, our job is to listen, identify the problem, confirm that it's a problem we fix, and deliver the solution. Like that, I know that's super minimalistic, but that is that's the structure, right? That's what we do. And and the advocate said to me, well, I don't I don't want to assume that I know what they need. They need to tell me what they need. And I'm like, yeah, no. That's not how that works because
Do
they
you
don't
go
know
to
what
a
they need.
restaurant and just start ordering shit, or do you look at a menu?
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And in this space, patients don't know what they need. They don't have any idea because they don't know
100%.
the options.
That is
Like you
literally
said, there's
why
no
my
menu.
service starts with like a diagnostic and creating a strategy. And to
Yep.
be fair, guys, like that took me time to figure out. Like there is a phase when you are starting a business
Yes.
that I say I can curse, right? Like there
Yes.
is a
I
fuck
think so.
around and
I
find
don't know.
out phase. Well, this is your platform.
Yes.
But
Yes.
like
Well,
truly, like when you
yeah.
first show up and you're like, I want to do this and I want to be helpful and I want to be an advocate, like number one, I wouldn't recommend that you have a very clear, tightly defined what you do. Because like, it's like
There needs to be
shopping
some
for,
flexibility.
yeah, it's like shopping for a dress or a pair of shoes. Like you're going to need to try some on.
Right. To figure out what to
But
do.
at
Yeah.
some point, you also need to see what fits and make the purchase. Like you can't just go to the shoe store and try on all the shoes every day that you go to get dressed. Right?
Yes. Wouldn't that be nice if we had anyway, that's a whole
Like
other thing. But yes,
at some point you got to make a decision and
right.
commit and like this is
Hmm.
what you do now.
Right.
Sorry guys,
Right.
I'm starting to
Exactly.
learn more and more that my brain just functions in a pre-verbal space apparently, and
It's
like I
totally
live with
fine.
metaphors.
It's okay because they're fantastic and they work and they bring it like, oh, I get that, right? So no worries. And it's one of the things that I think brings value to this conversation and what we're talking about because so much of the work that we're talking about is abstract and how do you like put your mind around that? So I think it's really important. And I love this idea of you're right, you have to pick a pair of shoes and you have to like get dressed, right? And start somewhere. And I think this is actually everything that we always talk about like
Mm-hmm.
start somewhere, do the things, give it time, get the data, make the decision. But today we're talking about getting over this idea of, if I put structure in my practice, it becomes rigid and now I'm gonna see, you know what it really is, Kayla? You know what it is? You talked
I
about
have an idea what it
FAFO.
really is, but
Yeah, what it really is, it's FOMO, right? Because I'm afraid that if I'm not flexible, I'm going to miss a sale. But what we're telling you is that that is absolutely
mm,
the opposite of what is actually happening. You are missing sales every single day, every single time you're having conversations because you are not putting structure around the options, creating
also
the
yeah.
menu, and moving people through the decision-making process.
So the story that I was talking about, the icing on the cake, and to exactly drive home what you're saying, this particular individual at the end of this story then also added on the client hasn't paid anything yet,
Oh, oh,
which
oh,
exactly
oh,
drives home what you were
oh,
saying. Like,
oh. Right, right. So they're running you ragged, not paying anything because they
which,
don't
by
see
the
the value.
way, if they haven't
Like,
paid anything, that's not a client. That's just a stranger that
yes,
you're doing a task list for.
that's right.
Just
That's right. Yeah.
boundaries are
Let's
hard and they're also necessary.
That's right. That's right. And there's no shame in that. Look, I'm going to tell you guys, um, I actually am in the middle of a situation that I want to talk about, but I need to be cautious on. But what I'm going to tell you is that professionalism and boundaries in professionalism is absolutely can be not just hard, but it can be terrifying because I have a lead that I actually is not going to be a client. I knew it's not a fit. First of all, I want to say that this person was looking for clinical advocacy. First things first, I don't do that. So I said, I don't do that. Here are some options. And I made some referrals. And it is not going well.
Mm.
I'm just gonna say that it's not going well because that person feels that I have a professional obligation that I technically don't. Right? I know I technically don't. I am not a required reporter, a mandatory reporter. I'm not a licensed clinician. I'm an independent healthcare financial advocate. I don't have anything to do with those things. And no joke, um, there are some things that are happening. And I'm like, in my mind, you guys, my mind is saying, but I wanted to help you. I tried to help you. I don't know how else I was gonna help you. At the same time, I'm saying, thank God I didn't do anything else because clearly this is not a stable situation. Um, and so I want to normalize that feeling of I want to help, and sometimes I can't
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
for a number of reasons, right? For a number of reasons, I might not be able to actually provide assistance to somebody. And that is hard because my
Mm-hmm.
heart wants to, right? I want to help everybody. And the reality is I am not able to help everybody. There are situations where professional boundaries require that I don't.
Mm-hmm.
And that is real stuff, guys. And that is mindset stuff that shows up regularly. You
Mm-hmm.
know, over the weekend I got some texts that were very, very disturbing professionally, and logically I'm like, look, there's nothing here. This is what it is. I can't do anything more than I've done. I I have, literally, if they want additional assistance, they're going to have to get it. My point in that is boundaries are hard. Professionalism is hard.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter how loving and compassionate and helpful our souls are, there are situations and circumstances that we are not able to fix.
Mm-hmm. And there's also this aspect of like we're in a relatively unknown industry. So
Yes.
people come to us with literally zero understanding of what those boundaries might even be. So,
True.
compared to
Yes.
other service industries, we have to have higher
I've
boundaries and do more of the mindset work required to uphold them. Because, like when I
yes.
said the example about, accountants and whatnot the other day, most
Yeah.
people have a general idea of like what an accountant or a financial advisor will and will not handle. People don't
Right.
know what we do, so they really don't know what they do and what we do and do not handle. And there's a subset of the population that is inclined to ask everybody for everything regardless of the role. But
Correct.
if you zoom out and look at the entire population of potential clients, we have to expect that we're gonna get a higher percentage of requests that we can't fulfill just by the very nature of the unknowns of our role. I had somebody
Right.
reach out to me a little while ago asking for, I forget how she worded it, so it was a referral actually from a financial advisor. And she was talking to me about some of the stuff that she was looking for. And I was like, some of this is in my lane. And I was kind of explaining what medical strategy is and the type of things that I help with. And then I kept getting phone calls and voicemails from her and asking for things farther and farther away, to the point she actually left me a voicemail about how she had been getting stalked for like 15 years and like what she could do about that. And I was like, like there's a meme that floats around every now and then that's like, sir, this is a Wendy's, like
Right.
one of those
Right.
moments.
We don't have blizzards here.
Right. but my point is,
Yeah. Yeah.
because people literally don't know what we do, we have to be prepared for even more of this than
Yeah.
Wendy's needs to
Correct.
be. And if we play the tape forward, and if we do decide to say yes to these things, what that really does is, now you're saying yes to things that either aren't your zone of genius, best case scenario, or on the other, like, worst case scenario, is stuff that you've not even done before, that you're just saying, like, could I have helped her with this stalking? Could I have made a case that it's, exacerbating her medical issues? Like,
Right.
sure,
Right.
I could have twisted it in my mind to make
Right.
it fit under my umbrella of services. You can shove a square peg in a round hole if you try hard
Yep.
enough.
Yep.
And then let's play that forward. What would happen? Would I do
Yeah.
a really good job? Probably not, because that's not something I've had to deal with before. So then what is that doing for her overall impression of my services? Well,
Right.
certainly it's diluting the impact and value, because I'm no longer staying in the lane of the shit that I actually do well and
Do.
feel good about charging people for.
Right.
And then what does
Right.
that do for retention of clients and how much they refer you to other people? Once again,
Right.
if you have a paid professional that is just doing everything you ask them to, unless they're like an executive assistant, they're not very professional. And so it looks like a short-term win, and it you get the dopamine hit, you scratch that itch of feeling good and helpful, with very large long-term consequences. And I'm gonna be honest, I see this the
Please do.
most. I know. I don't know why I say that,
Please
like, as if
do.
it's a surprise. I joke I should just tattoo on my forehead that, like, this is your trigger warning. Like, things will come out of my mouth.
Right. I love it.
Don't ask me questions you don't want real answers to.
Hmm.
But the people who have the most issues with professional boundaries are also the worst clients, typically. So long term, it's not a loss. And that really goes right back to what I was saying about the post that I was referring to at the very end. She said that this person hasn't even paid her. And it's like, well, I'm not surprised, because of
Right.
all of the conditions that you just, I mean, I'm saddened, don't get me wrong, but that end
Yes.
wasn't surprising to me.
Right.
It just, I hate that we even feel this cultural expectation to do
Right.
this. And I do think that it's because for so long this profession, this
Shouldn't.
industry, has been treated as a half step up above caregiving. And
Yeah.
then this is the
And
logical outcome.
right. Right, which is exactly, it's so interesting. We have an upcoming episode on the Patient Advocate CEO show, which is our YouTube channel at Patient Advocate CEO. So if you're not there, go subscribe. That will be coming, I think it drops next week, where it talks more about this very thing. Our internal narrative drives so much of this, right? And the external, and I think that has been what has perpetuating this as advocates, right? Is that we have this
This is
internal
like
dialogue.
almost all unhealed childhood trauma. Like, I
Yeah, it's
will die on that hill, because
I
I mean,
yes.
that is what often creates people
Yeah.
pleasers and overgivers, and those are the
And
the
that's
the personality types that are attracted to this line of
yes.
work.
Right, exactly. And it's also why we do what we do here at Patient Advocate CEO, is because we recognize that and we understand it. And we know firsthand, Kayla and I have both like made this transition from that internal mindset shift. We continue to work on it, but it's why we have these conversations. It's why Patient Advocate CEO exists, is because we know this is a real problem, and it is. I, I would say at this point, I say it's the number one reason that advocacy practices are not building and scaling and moving into true professionalism. And it's
Mm-hmm.
why we focus on it and we
Mm-hmm.
talk about it all the time because it is
It's
real.
this concept of needing to help everyone. Guys,
Yes.
there are 300 plus million people in America. You cannot help everyone.
That's right.
You cannot help everyone. This entire conglomeration of, what do we have? 1,000, not even BCPAs.
Well, we're
I mean,
we're
granted,
actually we're actually over that now. I think we're over 1,200, but even regardless, let's
then
say
there's
we
the
have
whole
2,000.
yeah, let's go with 2,000 because
Big
there's a
deal.
whole crop of people like me
Yeah.
who don't even pay for those
Right.
letters, just have different
Yeah.
letters. Okay,
Yes.
so we got 2,000 of us and over 300 million Americans.
Right.
So let's run the numbers on that. I don't know what that math is, but it's too many for me.
Right. It's too many. It's a
So
lot. It's a lot.
we cannot help everyone. You know, this is
No, we
very,
can't.
this reminds me of like end of life conversations. For a minute, stay with me. So many people are like, I don't want to die.
Right.
And at some point, we just got to be real and say, that goal is impossible. And you know, this is the conversations that like I have with my clients, with my patients at bedside and their families. It's like, death is inevitable.
Right. It's happening.
But we can control what that last chapter looks like.
Yes.
So it's kind of like, it's that same mindset here. Like, we can't help everybody.
Right.
But what we can do is control how great of an impact we do have. And I don't know about you, but if I'm doing every task that I am ever asked, my impact is one step up from, you know, being a maid or an errand person. It's not a lot. But if I can stay focused on truly like the gifts, the wiring that I was born with, my natural intuitions and inclinations, and really focus on only amplifying those,
Yeah.
that impact is profound.
Very profound.
And
very profound.
It can create, I am convinced that I am going to be able to create ripples well beyond even the clients that I one-on-one serve, because I am so focused on amplifying the impact of my gifts instead of doing everything that everybody asks of me.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Love it. Love it. So listen, we're out of time. This has been another great conversation. I didn't even look at my notes. I have no idea if we were like, because it was just so good. So it was fantastic. My question as we leave is I want everybody to be thinking about, where is one place in your practice that you are using flexibility to avoid committing to a process or structure? Like, I want to know one place. Like, it might be, I'm going to be like fully transparent, give you some options, because I see early advocates struggling in one of three areas, if not all three. One is generating leads, so sales, right? That process, flexibility, pricing, and new client onboarding is usually an area that we want to be super flexible depending on the case. So it's usually one of those things like packaging, pricing, or marketing. Like, those are the things that I see being a big struggle for most newer advocates is packaging, pricing, and marketing. I want to be flexible so that I can catch all the sales, which is not real. That is a lie that our brain tells us.
Well, you catch everything.
What
You
about
get a
you?
lot of bycatch. You ever see that? You know, them big fish and
True.
chips where they like
Right.
throw away 3/4 of what's in the net.
What they catch. Right. Exactly. Exactly. I love it. So what is your challenge? Do you have one? What do we want to see people
Yeah,
doing
you
this
know,
week?
if this resonates with somebody, I really encourage you to sit down and start to get real with yourself and like, what is your gift? What is
Yeah.
the thing that when you do it for your clients, you could do it all day long? What is that number one thing on that list? And can you do more of that? Can you do just that? How would that
Right?
feel? Does it feel exciting? Because if it
Yeah,
does, that's
do
alignment.
it. Right. Ooh, I love that. I love it. All right, everybody have a great week. We will be back here. We're doing the Power Hour on Wednesday. We'll be back here next Monday. Work on this thing. Where are you letting flexibility get out of line for you and narrow in on that? I love it. I hope everybody has a great week. Kayla, thank you so much. And we will talk to you later. Bye, guys.